Action now shifts to the Etihad Stadium in Manchester, where we'll find out as to which club will it be Manchester City, the host tonight, or will it be 14-time champions Real Madrid, who will be joining Inter Milan in the final, which will be played at Istanbul. My dear colleague Shane Dias alongside me as we try to answer this big question that's been doing the rounds. If Manchester City can indeed go ahead and stop Real Madrid in this all-important encounter, and if Real Madrid have the wherewithal to get past this imperious Manchester City, that I can say the least.
Yeah, I mean, see, if you talk about wherewithal, truth be told, on paper, this City team is probably one of the strongest assembled in quite a while. Let's be frank. Yeah. I think this City side, the one thing they were missing was a pure goal scorer. So what do? They only go out and sign Erling Haaland.
Only for what? 64 million?
Yeah, that release clause is ridiculous. I mean, 64 million, you've gotten a guy who's come in and broken the Premier League record for the most goals scored in a single season. And the season still isn't done yet. There's still 2 more games to play. So could very well get to about 40 goals by the time he's done. And, you know, I think City this year have looked imperious. This is their best year, but Real Madrid, I don't know about wherewithal, but something about the Champions League tends to stir something up in them.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know what it is they do. But something happens and they're like, you know, we're all going to play at our best.
I can't recall who it was, but I think it was one of the former players who I think it was Kun Aguero, I think, who said that do Real Madrid really train the whole year just for the Champions League?
Exactly. I mean,
you don't know what happens to, because see, when you look at their La Liga season and you know, more often than not, how you perform in the league gives an indication of how you perform overall as well in the Champions League. Somewhere, you know, that form does replicate, let's say. But with Real Madrid, that's an exception.
Exactly.
You know, where they are in the table or how they've performed in the La Liga has nothing to do at all with what they do in the Champions League.
In fact, it's worth noting that their recent success, like that 4 cups in 5 years which they won in Europe, came at a time when Barcelona were dominating La Liga. So it didn't matter that they weren't able to win La Liga. What mattered was that they were winning one Champions League after another, and they just looked unstoppable in Europe. They were that team who you'd pick out flaws and then it wouldn't matter, because on the day their best players would turn up, you know, from minute 1. They'd just be on it. And that's something it's an intangible, sure, and it also can't be trained or taught, which makes it very dangerous, because you then can't train against it or come up with a tactic. You just have to be at your best and hope to dear God that this team don't manage to find that something, dig deep and find that special something that they more often than not tend to find in Champions League nights.
Yeah, and I think, you know, when we ask this big question as to you know, if Manchester City, let's say, you know, if they can stop this Real Madrid side today, because let's not forget what happened last year. Man City of all teams would remember it very well, and I don't want to remind Manchester City fans of how things turned out last year. But I think, you know, it all boils down to this, you know, when you look at the two sides on paper, Shane, I think the answer is very clear. And of whatever we've seen, let's say both in La Liga and in the Premier League, I think there is no two ways about the fact that Manchester City are the better team. But, and maybe this was the case last year too, yes, barring an Erling Haaland, which wasn't there in that Manchester City side last year. But then I think at this point, at this stage, especially when you're playing Real Madrid, I think it goes a little beyond that. And that's where I think, you know, Carlo Ancelotti, I think when he was asked ahead of this encounter at the pre-match press conference, I think he's nailed it very well, and he's said that one thing which in fact I think will be the difference maker tonight. And it won't be about talent, let's say. I think it will be about the ability to soak in pressure and having the right mentality, which is where I think Manchester City lag far behind Real Madrid. Real Madrid are absolute beasts when it comes to mentality. We saw it all of last year. It didn't happen once, it didn't happen twice, it happened on multiple occasions. And that desperation showed really in the way they played their football. They turned things around, let's not forget, in a matter of minutes last time around in the same fixture.
In every fixture, against Paris, against Chelsea, against Man City, it didn't matter. They just had that ability to, you know.
And today as well, I feel, you know, it's again gonna boil down to temperament, and Manchester City fans, Manchester City squad, and the manager, of course, will not forget what happened last year. All the more reason to be for them to be pumped up and, you know, look for revenge after what happened last year. But then Having said that, Real Madrid going to this match, given the occasion, I think if they're just indomitable when it comes to mentality, when it comes to mindset. I think Carlo Ancelotti has drilled that confidence and that mentality into the side very well. And as those players as well, the likes of Camavinga and the other youngsters out there, I think they know the club that they're representing, and it's their competition. They say it out loud. It is one competition. They don't want to let themselves down or their fans down. History favors them. Today, even though they'll be in minority as far as the number of fans in the stadium will be is concerned, but even then, the rich history, the culture at the club, that crest carries a lot of weight. Exactly. And I think that is something that will help. And they'll probably be the 12th man for Real Madrid tonight.
Absolutely. I think you're talking about mentality. I'll steal a phrase that Jurgen Klopp loves: mentality monsters. That's what Real Madrid are when it comes to the Champions League. They don't care who are the opponents in front of them. Yeah. They will more often than not end up triumphing. In fact, I remember the year when Chelsea won it, which was the 2020-21 season. That year as well, Chelsea actually ended up beating Real in the semis. And I think the moment when I really started believing that, this could very well be Chelsea's year again, was when they beat Real. It didn't matter that you had City in the final. City I did not fear. Real Madrid I feared. And that's the thing. Real Madrid are at one side you just don't want to be facing come the Champions League, come when you see that star-spangled ball, and you hear that theme ring out, it just does something to them. Yeah. It just does.
Even though, it's come from Zanetti, who was asked about, who they want to play, let's say, in the final. They know their berth is confirmed, but then let's say off the two sides, and there's no denying the fact that if you've been following football, Man City are probably the team to beat this whole year. Nobody really comes close to them in world football at the moment. But then when Zanetti was asked this, he said we don't want to be facing Real Madrid.
Exactly, because with City, they have a history in recent years of choking in the Champions League. They made it to the final in 21 and were thoroughly outperformed, by the way. Tactically, they didn't have shots on goal. Yeah. That speaks volumes as to what a comfortable match it was for Chelsea, even though they won it 1-0. With City, that sort of history unfortunately defines them. That and the fact that unfortunately Pep Guardiola, which by the way he also addressed in his pre-match press conference, has a tendency of overthinking things. Yeah. He sarcastically said that, don't worry guys, I'm not going to overthink this. I hope he's right, because this team is built so well. I see no reason to change tactics unless you see something going wrong between the match. Because I think what they have right now works for them. And don't forget, we're talking about City stars or real stars when it comes to them shining. I think City have one player beyond Haaland who just has that tendency of showing up in clutch moments, and that is their club captain Ilkay Gundogan. Yeah. He just has that ability to score goals or find the back of the net or get an assist when the team is in fact in desperate need for that goal. In fact, recently, don't forget, he scored a couple of goals against whoever it was they were playing. I'm forgetting who it was. Everton, yes. And also last season against Aston
Villa, he got the all-important goal. Again, there's something about Ilkay Gundogan, that gets the best out of him. Even though as club captain, he's been in and out at times. Yeah. But having said that, something happens. He's becoming more and more of this clutch player. Yeah. This is despite reports of him leaving the club, perhaps.
Yeah, he is. He's on his way out. Don't forget, I think Barcelona are the favorites
look
to
like
sign
the
him.
Yes.
And his contract is up, so they're going to get him on a free. And a great player to get on a free, really, because he's someone. And by the way, remember, Gundogan, his story in some ways is inspiring, because I remember when he was at Dortmund, he's a different midfielder. Yeah. He's had to remold his game significantly, having dealt with a number of injury issues, and to go from there to become a City club captain and now potentially head to Barcelona on a free. It's a great career that he's had, and it wouldn't be a surprising thing if he left having won potentially a treble. That's what City are staring at. Only the second English club after Manchester United to have done that treble, which is of course Champions League, FA Cup.
Yes,
the league seems sealed at this point.
The league seems sealed. We'll know if Manchester City do have a shot at getting the treble, rather the Champions League, as to what happens tonight. And of course, then it'll boil down to that Manchester derby, the first ever FA Cup Manchester derby, by the way.
It's very amazing, really, when you think about the history.
Happen. So yes, Manchester United, if if you're supporting Manchester United, if there's one thing you want to deny Manchester City, forget the Champions League. If you want to deny them the treble, you got to win your game, which is going to be played in about a fortnight from now at the Wembley Stadium. But yeah, coming back to the match at hand, we're talking about midfielders. We talked about Ilkay Gundogan. Let's just also talk about the magician in the Real Madrid midfield, and that's Luka Modric.
He's an ageless man. I don't understand it. He was supposed to be done after 2018's World Cup final. Yeah. He came back, played the 2022 World Cup until they made it to the semis. Yeah. They got knocked out by Argentina. He's still going strong. How does this man not age?
And how did he miraculously recover from the injury that he suffered 2 weeks back? Nobody has any idea about it.
What is it with Serbians and them being like superhumans? Djokovic is another one. Yeah. He'll have an injury and then out of nowhere, boom, superhuman. And this guy is just not aging. He's still playing the exact same way he was maybe 5-6 years back. He's a medical marvel. I don't understand it really, and it's great for Real Madrid that he's still operating at the same level. I remember there's been rumors linking him with a move away from the club as well. Apparently, Ronaldo's club, Al Nassr, targeting him, and he said, no, I want to stay put at Real, and the priority is always to stay there. So he's not leaving. I don't think he's leaving the club until he pretty much decides that, okay, I'm calling it a day. But I think he's also going to be key, because again, there's a lot of good midfielders around. Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne, the man who scored the goal, the equalizer for City in that last match, absolutely whacking it across the frame of goal.
That Courtois had no chance over there. What a brilliant strike from Kevin De Bruyne, and he too, by the way, will be playing a crucial role today alongside Ilkay Gundogan. But having spoken of both the teams, time now that we really get the bull by its horn. Do you really think, Shane, Manchester City have it in them to stop Real Madrid tonight?
I think they do. I don't think it'll be an easy game. I think it'll be maybe something like a 2-1 or something, but in City's favor.
2-1 in City's favor. I do expect there to be goals tonight, given the fact that yes, it's a crucial second leg tonight, and yes, City have been trying ever so hard, and I do expect there to be some sort of indiscipline on the field, some sort of tempers also to be flaring. But I just have a strong feeling that Real Madrid, they'll turn up to be that Real Madrid that we know of, and that's going to get into the heads of the coach predominantly, not as much as the players. And when a frustrated, or rather, let's say, a pensive Pep Guardiola, when he's roaming around the touchline, it sort of gets to the players as well. Absolutely. Pep Guardiola, till the time Manchester City don't get that first goal, will cut across as an irritated figure, let's say, if they don't have things under control. But let's just say, if you were to ask me, I think Real Madrid will be relying heavily on that 12th man, and that 12th man won't be, let's say, the fan base, but it's going to be their rich history, the culture of the club. I think it's that mentality which is going to be key today for them to get over Manchester.
It'll be the Champions League anthem.
It will be the Champions League anthem.
I mean, to be fair, the Champions League anthem is something that hypes anyone up.
Yeah.
It does, but I think that's what we are, and we'll split on this prediction. What do you guys feel? Well, you can let us know in the comments, and please don't forget, like, share, subscribe, tap the bell, leave us a comment. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter and Facebook, and don't forget, download the Sportstek app. Stay tuned to Sportstek. We'll be bringing you lots more coverage from the world of sport. But for now, from Harshit and me, goodbye.